Quest, there were 1,600 other protein bar companies that launched in 2010.
Flavors or companies, yeah.
Flavors or companies.
Yep.
What gave you the audacious mindset to think that you could compete against all those, plus the 10, 20 years of other nutrition companies out there and beat them?
Yeah, it's...
Without having any experience in this.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a phrase that I play in my own head that I know when I say out loud, 50% of people love it and 50% of people hate me for it, but it's true. So, hey, here we go. I have the arrogance of belief. I believe in myself. Now, I believe in one thing about me. I am not the smartest guy. I got a 990 on my SATs. I took it twice. That's my combined score.
Better than me.
So that's bad for both of us. I always joke with people, a monkey smearing feces on the test could score higher than I did. Like, it's literally terrible.
Yeah.
But I always believed that I could do whatever I set my mind to, right? So that's the only credit I will give myself is when other people break and give up and stop, I just don't, right? And it comes down to the story you tell yourself about yourself. And that's the story I tell myself. I was just this last weekend, I was at an entrepreneurial organization, and they brought a world-class mountain biker in and said, hey, anybody that wants to go for a ride with her, go. And I thought, okay, I'll go and cause she's saying we can do a beginner course or whatever. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. I'll jump on the bike and go. I've never been on a mountain bike before ever in my life. I haven't been on a bike of any kind probably in 15 years. So that was probably stupid. And we're in, Sun Valley, Idaho. So it's not exactly flat land. And we go mountain biking and I'm dying. I'm just done. It's at like 6,000 feet, first of all. So I cannot catch my breath. And I keep stopping, and everyone's like, oh, it's okay, man. Like, go ahead and turn back. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm like, I don't think you know the story I tell myself. Like, there's no universe in which I stop. So I keep going. Finally, they've done the loop, right? Some people have turned back, whatever. Yeah. They've done the loop, and now they're coming back, and they're passing me. I'm still headed out. And they're like, you need to turn around. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not going to turn around. And they said, okay, but then we're no longer responsible for you. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, it is what it is, man. I appreciate that. No worries. I'm a big boy. Like, go. And I just kept going. And I must have come in an hour and 20 minutes or something after everybody else. But I finished. And that meant so much to me. I was like, I'm going to ignore the fact I got my ass handed to me and I came in dead last. But I'm going to be proud that I didn't quit.
Interesting. Did you say arrogance of belief? Is that what you said?
The arrogance of belief. There's a gap between who people are and what they tell you they want to accomplish. Because in the beginning, I hired everyone.
Right.
Not because I'm super smart and thought, hey, I should. There was no one else, right? Like we had the smallest handful of people ever. And so I started doing the interviewing. As I was doing it, I started realizing, God, these guys tell me they want to do something amazing with their life. And if you just listen, like, wow, yeah, like I want to be on your team, dude. You're going to do amazing stuff. And then you realize they can't execute on that dream. So
why can't they?
They don't have the mindset yet. Like you could do an entire podcast series on how to get the mindset, but I'll just use Carol Dweck and her amazing book, Mindset.
I have it up there too on the shelf somewhere.
I'm sure. Such a good book. I see Simon Sinek up there, who is also very influential in us. And she says some people either believe they're as smart as they're ever going to be, and that's that. And so they're going to be ego protective, and they're going to try to thwart anything that makes them feel like they're not the smartest person or whatever. And then there's people with a growth mindset, and they realize I'm not the smartest person, and I'm certainly not as smart as I could be. So even if I am the smartest person that ever lived, I could get a little bit smarter. And so when they're confronted with contradictory information, they learn and they soak it up like a sponge.
Whereas other people are fixed mindset, right?
Correct.
They're fixed on like, no, this is the way and I'm right and that's wrong.
Yes. And I would say the world, everyone's on a spectrum, right? Even I, as much as I believe in it and work my ass off to be a growth mindset, I still have, let's call it 10% where I catch myself and I'm like, come on, dude, you know better than that. But so people that fall in the, let's say, sub 50% spectrum of the growth mindset, it's got to be 98%, which is maybe a little bit controversial because I use this word to get people's attention. It's all your fault. What I mean by that is you always can control the outcome of anything. So the example I give to people, do I have time to give you?
Of course.
Okay. So the example I give to people, and this is something that I do in the interview a lot, so that people understand how we think at Quest. And if they think it's crazy, I tell them, if you think this story is crazy, you should turn and run in the opposite direction. You will hate it here. But if in hearing it, you're like, oh my God, I want to be around people who think like that, then you'll get us after hearing this story. It goes like this. My wife is British. That's actually true. Let's say that she was at home visiting her family in London. She's in the bed that she grew up in. The doors are locked. The alarm's on. Her mom's there. She's safe and sound. Right at that moment, a meteorite comes screaming through the atmosphere, crashes into her bedroom and kills her. Whose fault is that? Now, every time I ask that question, once people stop trying to guess at what they think I'm going to say, and they just give their answer, they say, it's nobody's fault, divine providence, fate, force majeure, dumb, blind luck, however you want to sum it up, but that. And my answer is no, it's entirely my fault. And the reason it's my fault is because I know that there's a group right now that track what are called near-Earth objects. That's very true, by the way. They're trying to find some way to knock them off course. So if it could be something truly dangerous, so whether it's a laser beam, a planted nuclear explosion, whatever it is, something to bump it off course so it doesn't collide with Earth. I've never sent them an email with encouraging words. I've never sent them a dime of my money. I've never called them up to give them any ideas, nothing. And I know they exist. Now, I think that's smart because the likelihood of my wife being killed by a meteorite is very, very low. I'd be much better off focusing on car safety or something like that. But I choose not to contact these people. I choose to leave my wife at risk of being hit by a meteorite.
Sure.
So even though I would be mortified and sad if it happened, I would never waste time saying that it wasn't my fault because I could have done something and I chose not to.
Sure.
That to me is empowering. I don't want people feeling guilty about it. You shouldn't waste, like, I wrote an article about this one time. People were like, yo, you're blaming the victim and all that stuff. And what I'm trying to say is you don't have to allow yourself to be a victim, even if you've been victimized, right? Like you can transcend that and you can look back and go, what could I have done differently? Oh my gosh, I could have done all these things. Awesome. I'm now in control again. Yeah. Right? Because being victimized is inevitable. But being a victim, that's a choice, right? It's like pain is inevitable, suffering's a choice. Yeah. So once I freed myself from the belief that I couldn't break out of certain things, like everyone told me, dude, your mom and your sister, like they've got to want it. People kept saying that they've got to want it. They've got to want to change. And I was like, I reject that because they're going to die. Like they clearly don't want it. So, but I'm not willing to accept that I'm going to lose these people who I love so much. I'm not willing to accept that. So I'm going to acknowledge the human condition, which is that they eat for pleasure and not for sustenance. So I'm going to give them food that they can eat for pleasure that's good for them. Yeah. And my sister's lost 120 pounds. Wow. So it works, right? And my sister owns that. Like she did the hard work. Like she put the grind in. She should be super proud of herself. But at the end of the day, it was born of me not accepting that she, that I had to wait for her to make that choice. You
took the responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. So just paint that to any area of your life, whether it's you want success, it's not happening because your boss is a dick or whatever. No, your boss may be a dick, but you haven't learned how to persuade to do what you want. Right. Which is how I think, which is why I say I want to be a Jedi. Because I want to be able to persuade people to do things so that I can move the ball forward on the big goals that I want to accomplish. And just own it. You can always change something.